Hello, this is Taha.
This is Anaina,
This is Movie Masala.
and we're here to yap at you about films we've watched recently.
And today we're doing
Wake Up, Dead Man, the new Knives Out film.
by Ryan
Listen up.
Johnson.
Oh, would you look who it is? It's Judas Judd.
Father, you are not welcome here.
All right, stop. Here's what's gonna happen. Benoit freaking Blanc and I are gonna ask you all some questions, and you're gonna answer them. We're gonna get to the bottom of who killed Monsignor Wicks and why. And then that's it.
So we're a bit late to this, but it's fine. This is the third film by Ryan Johnson in the series. A series which I honestly will say is because every film is a new mystery that I don't feel any sense of series fatigue towards. Like this doesn't feel like a franchise in any way.
100%. The thing that makes it feel even less like a series per se is the fact that each film has its own title, has its own set of characters, has its own kind of setup and plot and everything, and nothing is interconnected. Nothing is common. The only thing that's common is Benoit freaking Blanc.
Benoit freaking Blanc. And like, I think Daniel Craig has so much fun with this role. I know he does because I think he's also in his head being like, unlike James Bond, I can just show up in a suit with long hair, do a little funky accent, and that's it. That's all I need to do. I don't need to do stupid, insane stunts all the time.
100%. I think the thing that got me hooked onto the first Knives Out film was the fact that I was seeing Daniel Craig be so unhinged. And because of James Bond, like you're right, I've always pictured him as this very serious and stoic and action man. And then to see him in a role like Benoit Blanc in kind of like something as serious as a murder mystery, but then it has such a fun and light take to the character. The character itself is meant to like diffuse all the tension of a classic murder mystery. And I think Daniel Craig, like 3 films in, you couldn't have made a better choice than him.
100%. Like, genuinely, he's become such a character in itself that he's able to really tie these films together. Speaking of, like, we should actually talk about the film and what's it about.
Yep.
The title does give it away a bit, the film's like central conceit follows through, but it's basically follows Josh O'Connor, who plays Father Judd, a priest who's sent to this small church. I don't know what the term is for like a parish. I think parish, right?
A parish, yeah.
Yeah. Where there's another preacher, Monsignor Jefferson Wick, played by Josh Brolin, played really well by Josh Brolin. We'll get into the acting in a second.
Yeah.
And then you have Glen Close, who plays Martha, who's like the assistant or like the person helping him with the church admin and stuff. And then you have these other group of characters who are like the core members of the parish, like people who attend.
And Josh O'Connor's Father Judd enters this tight knit group of people from this particular church. Basically, notices that something is off, right? Not like in a creepy, mystical way, but in the kind of messaging that Monsignor Wicks is giving these people, and the kind of fear and anger he is breeding in them under the guise of like preaching the word of God to them, right?
Very subtle commentary. Very subtle.
Oh, so subtle. It's so subtle, you guys. You will almost not pick up on it. It's pretty clear what they're trying to say.
Yeah, 100%. This film is not like acting like it's doing something else or like this is not what is happening in any way.
No, it is shoving the message in our face. And you know what? I appreciate it.
Yeah, it works for
Because
this film.
exactly, it works for this film. And yeah, essentially, Monsignor Wicks and Father Judd clash over their beliefs on how the church should run, and then build up, build up, build up, and then eventually, and spoiler alert, but not really a spoiler alert because you kind of see it coming, Monsignor Wicks dies. And that's where the murder mystery part of this film begins, and then that's where Benoit Blanc comes in, and that's where the whole solving of the mystery happens. Now, we're not going to get into how they solve the mystery or what they find or who they did it. We can talk about the ending without giving it away or even giving it away. But
Yeah.
I think just before we get to the ending, I just want to spend some time like talking about the character studies that this film does.
Yeah, I think this is like all of the 3 months is about the mystery, but it's the mystery is always used as a means to understand the characters. which I think a good murder mystery always does. Like you read Agatha Christie and you get the same thing, where you want the characters to be interesting and also like compelling enough that you want a gasp no matter who is revealed. Basically, that's what the mystery should build up to, right? And I think this film is very much like all of these three films. It's like all of these characters are problematic, and Monsignor Wicks is fully breeding that out of them as well.
100%. I think each character in this film embodies like a core societal problem.
Mm,
Like, if I'm looking at Jeremy Renner's character, Nat, he embodies the red pilling of men, right?
yeah,
Men who are lonely and then get so easily red pilled. And by red pill, I mean get sucked into the conservative, misogynistic pipelines, right? He
exactly.
is that character. Then Andrew Scott's Lee is kind of similar, but in a way, like people who embrace conservative extremism, the guns and the fortresses.
Or I think blame liberal values for their own failing. I think of
Exactly.
him as
Yeah,
like
that's what I was getting. Yeah.
comedians who aren't funny but keep saying I'm not allowed to say any more thing anymore, or like I'm cancelled. That's what he
Exactly.
reminds me
Yeah,
of.
that's what I was building up to. And one after the other, you kind of keep getting these characters from the core that you kind of mentioned, who you're like, oh, so this person is this aspect of what's wrong with society and that aspect, and etc. etc. And I think the film pushes a message in your face with these characters. It really pushes the message in your face as
A
well.
100%.
That like what you are being told. I think there's like a good chunk of dialogue that is spent on how religion or organized religion and kind of the idea of a church and having a parish and whatever is storytelling,
Yeah.
is fictional, it is made up, right? And that's not to say that this film completely disparages religion. No, I think it has a really good religious core to it.
I think you can be a Christian person watching this film and really connect to the Christianity from it. Like, even as two people who are not Christian, I feel you would also agree that the way Josh O'Connor plays his character and the film's entire message, you're like, oh, I can see how religion positively helps people. Can see how it's a force of good.
100%. And I think a lot of it is down to the writing, of course, but also Josh O'Connor's acting as Father Judd. I think
100%.
I'm fully convinced when he's talking about God and religion. I'm like, whoa, is he right? What is he saying? And then, when he kind of starts counseling the people of the town or the kind of people of the parish, he takes on such a tone of his voice. And I don't know how to describe it, but the tone of his voice that he puts on, that he performs, instantly is meant to like soothe and calm you.
It feels like a warm cup of tea, very much so. And again, that scene where a bit more spoilers, I guess. There's a scene where Father Judd needs information out of a woman for like opening this tomb and stuff. And when the woman goes like, "Can you help me?" It immediately stops. He realizes what he's doing. He sees that broken Jesus piece, and then he has his like Damascus moments, as the film says. And again, that is such a good character scene. Like you have those scenes where you're like, "Oh, this is what this character is like." This one scene gives you everything you don't need to know about this character, and that is what that scene is. It is so good. Like genuinely, you're like, "I want to talk to you about my problems." Is where you end up with after.
100%. And I think this film is also like filled with symbolism, as all the Knives Out films are.
Oh yeah,
And it does symbolism not necessarily just in objects, it does symbolism with light as well, which is something I
exactly what I
noticed.
wanted to. Yeah, 100%.
I love the way this film uses light as coming in and out of the church at certain moments, and it never feels unnatural because the first interaction between Benoit Blanc and Father Judd, there is so much light coming and going and coming and going. You almost
Hmm.
think, oh, it's a cloudy day, and the clouds are kind of hiding the sun and letting the sun out, and hiding the sun, letting the sun out. And it might as well have been, except when you hear the dialogue and when you hear them speaking, and then you notice the coming and going of the lights, you're like, whoa, okay, there's like something way more in depth to this.
Yeah, with that, like when it was happening, firstly, I just went like, "Oh, that's so good!" Like you genuinely just have an outward reaction. And my second thing is like, even at moments where it feels like on the nose because of the nature of the film, it never seems to take you out of it. It just further engrosses you. It is heightened. That's the entire point of the film. Like these characters are kind of on this, and it's part of the charm of this whole series, very honestly. That I think it makes this so fun that when those lighting scenes are happening and you have those like moments, it feels on theme and it never takes you out at all. And I think 100% the messaging with the lighting is just such a good part. It feels very well shot because of that as well.
Again, same. As soon as I started noticing the use of light, I was like, ah, this is another one of the heightened symbolism of the film that you kind of have to pick up on, but it's not too hard to pick up on. And then once you do, you're like, basically, the film isn't meant to be like a realist film. You are meant to be like kind of stepping outside of reality. But the
Yeah.
messages it's trying to give are very much rooted in like our present day or past like circumstances and issues and problems, etc. I also love all the broken Jesuses. There are at least two broken Jesuses in this film.
I think there might have been more.
And that's why I said at least two.
Yeah.
And this is not like a disparaging of any religion. I think it's very important to the film that Jesus is broken.
100%.
And then at the end, Jesus is not broken. You'll see how. But I'm not going to say how because it will spoil the film. But throughout the film, lots of Jesuses being broken, being shown as broken, kind of being ripped apart, and then to have like a whole Jesus at the end. She's like, all right, fine, we get it.
I definitely agree. The thematic nature of it as well. I think to like summarize it in some senses, with the film, there is a constant understanding of what power and this responsibility entails. It very much so, not to sound corny, but is with great power comes great responsibility kind of message, where Monsignor
For
Rix is
sure.
fully using it for personal gain, and where Father Judd is fully intent to using it for healing, for empathy. It is honestly a very pro faith film. Weirdly enough, like I don't think there's
A
any other reading
hundred
you can have.
percent, yeah.
Partly, again, like we've mentioned, is Josh O'Connor's hot priest, which is making you
Yeah.
come to faith. But it is also like genuinely this sense of empathy and humanity that kind of permeates throughout this film. It's present within Father Judd, it's present within Benoit Blanc, and it's the redemption which certain characters get at the end as well, which is like restoration of humanity and faith and healing. And I think that's like the core tenet of what the film is trying to convey.
And I think like such a subtle way it does it as well, which feels like quite obvious when you think about this as a Knives Out film written by Ryan Johnson is the cursing and the swearing. Because if you think about it, people of God aren't meant to be swearing and cursing, right? That's one of the main things. Like, no, you shall
Mhm.
not, I don't know, speak bad words, I guess. But then,
One of the
like,
commandments, yes.
yes, Father Judd cusses the whole time. Father Judd's mentor,
Jeffrey by Jeffrey Wright, I remember that.
yeah, Langstrom,
Langstrom.
yeah, cusses all the time as well. Obviously, Benoit Blanc cusses all the time as well. And I think that doesn't take you out of church setup. It adds to it because it kind of goes, yeah, all that shit is pedantic. Say whatever you want. It literally does not matter. And then I think it also packs in a few, like, ha ha moments when Father Judd says Jesus when he's scared by like Glen Close's Martin and goes, "Ooh, sorry, I said Jesus." Like stuff like that, where you kind of go,
It
"Okay, that was
is,
really
yeah.
funny."
The first 30-minute setup has a decent amount of jokes in it as well, 100%. Also, like, we haven't talked about the actual mystery, which I think we might have some differing opinions on.
Yeah,
My only issue with this film, realistically, is I think sometimes it just takes too long to where it needs to get to. This might not be for everyone. This might be as a student who's understood what's happening and wants to skip ahead. Might just be my ADHD. It felt like, especially in this film, once the mystery is done, it takes like 40 minutes to around wrap up, 35 to 40 minutes to wrap up. I think I'm counting the credits in that. And I think just felt that was too long for me. I was like, I clearly understand most of what's happening. Just get me to the more crucial parts. And that unraveling sometimes just felt needlessly long. And there were like some scenes where I was like, I don't feel like this is necessarily adding that much to it. I think part of that might also be that at parts the mystery is really intriguing 100%. And like I think it does things that I really enjoy, like when a mystery sets up something prior and giving you enough like intention this is going to come back, but you don't know how. And that hit when the impact is goes like, oh, that was such a fun way to do it. That being said, sometimes I was just like, I just didn't get enough sense of like, that was so interesting, or oh, I didn't. It just lacked some of the oomph I felt specifically from the first one. So while I really did enjoy this film, I think the mystery though doesn't feel as well done as the first one. And I'll be very honest upfront, the second one I already feel like very meh towards anyways.
No, I agree. I think this film does not have the punch
Mm,
ending to the mystery, right?
yeah.
Even if you solved it and when you finally find out, you're not like hit by it and like, whoa, like this is etc. Do you know what I mean? What you normally would expect from a mystery. So I completely get that. Though I appreciated this kind of different ending in context of the rest of the film.
Okay.
So the rest of the film spends so much time setting it up, then spends so much time going around with these clues and almost red herring sometimes, where this whole other plot B is happening while, we are in plot A with these characters. And then the ending reveal scene brings up a plot C even, which I get can feel quite like what's going on now. But I think I liked that, especially because
Mm-hmm.
it plays into the, like, Benoit Blanc, for example, doesn't take the winning moment, doesn't take the
Yes.
glory moment, right? Because of what he as a character has learned throughout the film.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting thing to do, to show that a character is making these choices because of what we have
Oh, yeah.
seen throughout, like laid out and spelled out.
I think I like also how he says, I cannot solve the mystery. He doesn't say this mystery can't be solved, which is so specific to him being like, I won't reveal who the killer is. I need the killer to reveal themselves, which I think is a very interesting place.
Exactly, exactly. That's due entirely to the context and the setup of the film and the main messaging of the film or whatever, which is why I appreciate. I 100% get that the killer confessing to a crime in like a long monologue slash flashback is very like anticlimactic and anti thematic to a mystery film. I just felt like too for this film, like if I saw this
Mm-hmm.
kind of an ending in any other film, I don't necessarily think I would have liked it as much as I liked this
Okay.
one. And that's solely because of the other 2 hours of
Yeah,
film that
I
I
I
watched.
understand. Like, I think it thematically works with what the film is. I think for me, it feels like an anime where like the flashback takes up like half of the episode, and you're like, can I have the action, please? I already know some of.
Fair, fair, 100%. But yeah, I think that's where, like we said, our opinions on the mystery part of it differ. But I think we can both agree that it's a pretty
Oh,
good
100%.
film.
I still like the first one the
Yeah.
most, but I really do also enjoy this one.
Yeah, for sure. I'd also just like to say about like the acting. I think the film has a star cast,
Oh,
stellar cast, and
so much.
everyone is superb. But I think the standouts for me were Josh Brolin,
Yeah.
obviously, as Monsignor Wicks. Kerry Washington
Mm,
as Vera. She was fabulous. I think she was absolutely stunning, and obviously
mm.
stunning in terms of how she looked, but also stunning in terms of her performance. And Josh O'Connor, like I've watched 2 other Josh O'Connor films this year, The
Mhm.
Mastermind and The History of Sound. And in both of them, he feels very restrained in those films. And that's due to the writing and the character and the plot of those films,
Mhm.
which like aside which are very different to this film. And in this film I think he's had the chance to, like Daniel Craig, have fun and explore and kind of be a little bit free with it,
Yeah.
which I really 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 like. I'm not saying this is like his best acting he's ever done in comparison to these other 2 films, because they're such different films.
Mhm.
But I definitely think this is where I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying seeing Josh
Yeah, like
O'Connor
he's
enjoy this
taking up
character.
scenery, he's chewing scenery, he's like making it his own.
He's eating it
He's
up,
eating
yeah.
it up, leaving no crumbs. Thank you. I was like, what did the kids say? Also, like, honestly, Derek Cormack Sai, Draven, who's like this swarmy politician influencer person, is also really good. I think, like, he's so punchable and he does it so well. He does it so well. Like
100%.
you understand, like, no, I hate you so much. But one thing though, with the cast that you say, I think the cast obviously is really good. I do feel like certain characters are not utilized as much or as well. And I think the only actual primary I have is I feel Andrew Scott just doesn't get to do that much, very honest. For the caliber of acting he can put out, he just feels like sometimes he's just also
For
there.
sure, I would have liked definitely a scene or two that just kind of is focused on Andrew Scott's sliminess because I think he can play that really, really well.
Yeah, like I think I
So
would
for
love more
sure,
villainous Andrew Scott a bit more, 100%.
100%, one hundred
Yeah.
percent.
And also, just to end this, I have a question for you. So I've all letterbox, and I just learned Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in this film. Do you want to guess what he
Yeah.
does?
Oh, is he one of like those news announcers or newscasters or something?
He's a baseball announcer, and I have no clue where baseball was in this film. I genuinely am
Oh,
asking.
I do know, I do know, I do
Where
know.
was
Oh, it's that
baseball
bit
in
in the
this film?
film where, Sam's watching baseball on the TV
Oh,
and Father Judd finds a clue.
yeah. Okay. Okay, I saw that and I was like, where was he? And then I was like, baseball. Where was baseball in this? Fair enough. I'm glad they got Joseph Gordon-Levitt for that.
I guess, sure.
But anyway, so those are our thoughts. Thank you for tuning in. This podcast is produced solely by us with musical assets from Pixabay. If you enjoyed this, please do share it. See you again next time.
Bye bye.